and talk. And the reason, so I'm kind of like highlighting to people, get a vision. If you haven't got one, get a vision and just keep working towards it. Just have that passion, have an anchoring of like, that's what I want to do, and make it big. Just make it big, because here is a retreat that's, well, a venue that's looking to build retreats on a regular basis. It's something that they want to bring to the place, which is why I'm here learning the ropes, but at the same time imparting my passion. And really, even we've got the opportunity to tell your story on a regular basis here, which is just like, wow, that's just going to impact all of us in the different countries, because we can just duplicate what we're doing here. But to actually have a place that we've got a template to be able to set it up is just incredible. And then the next, I've just had a mentoring session with the Infinity Healing, and they want the game. They want to bring it as a movement across the globe.
Exciting!
I know, it's like, oh my gosh. So
finally,
it's just like, oh, exactly, because she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. She said in all the hundreds of healers that she's worked with over the years, she's never met anybody as innovative and creative in terms of having a vision so strong. So it confirmed you again. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, it's all for us. That's the beautiful thing, is that all of us are going to benefit from this, because without all of you, it's not possible. It's as simple as. So it means that building our confidence to be able to run the Tell Your Story. So it means that the Infinity Healing, I wasn't sure if I had to do Infinity Healing kind of like a bit separate and have my Tell Your Story. But what she was saying was just include it all. Just include, because one of the things that I'm talking about is incorporating the Infinity Healing with the Journey of Innocence, which is about childhood trauma and childhood, just releasing any childhood trauma, which, let's face it all, the majority of us in need of healing, it always stems down to our childhood. It's lacking confidence. It stems down to our childhood and whatever happened there. So trauma is not necessarily something that's really, really bad that's happened. But I've been doing some audios around trauma is just not experiencing happiness. And let's face it, how many children are unhappy for whatever reason, So and I think just being part of the human process is about pain and unhappiness. But what she did say was that childhood trauma is something that is not really, she's been doing this work for years, and she's found that a lot of healers work on a very superficial level when it comes to trauma in children. So she's really, really excited about this, about me specializing in this work, because it's, having gone through it, it's about turning the scars into stars. So it really is turning those pain points into what's going to bring you into being magnificent. And that's what we're doing. The life after is all about that. It's about really getting to those shadow parts of who we are and releasing them. Just, really.
This is, yeah.
This what, sorry?
I was going to say something you said there really resonated, that this perception of trauma having to be something really major, like abuse or a horrendous accident or whatever. We've become so used to that use of the word trauma, where actually it can just be a major event, or even from a distance, what might seem a relatively minor event, that actually to the child who experienced it at that age was massive.
Exactly. We can't measure. It's impossible
I
to measure,
wouldn't
isn't it?
say that I had a traumatic childhood.
No.
But I can think of, the big thing that happened was uprooting myself, or being uprooted from Africa, where I was born, where or to English parents, but where you could say there's an element of folk soul, because I chose to be born in that place to those people at that time for a reason. And then 6 years later, I was uprooted and moved thousands of miles away. And there are traumatic events that happened on that journey, because we sailed, so it was a 10-day journey. There are things I remember that are traumatic events to me as a 6-year-old that I'm sure have had an impact. And yet, you wouldn't say, from the perspective of psychologists and psychiatrists who deal with really abused and traumatized children that I had a traumatic childhood. But
Mm.
for me in that moment, I think it probably it was a trauma that's left a mark.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key. That came to me during the week of it doesn't, when we look at the size of things, it doesn't matter the size of it, because like you said, to a child, there isn't any comparison. It just is. And that's it. It's like if there isn't a concept of, you can't compare something. So for myself as a child, going through horrendous, I mean, even as of re-recording the Journey of Innocence, and I don't know if it's because I've arrived here at a space that I've always dreamt of, that it's kind of like there's a release now. It's like, oh my gosh, I've actually arrived at the place that I'm meant to propel from this, because the next step is the retreat. It's the next step is looking for the land in Ireland. It's just here. That's it. It is. And I think having arrived here, I was going through some emotional things. So doing the Journey of Innocence, on one of the chapters, I'm absolutely distraught, and I really want to keep that audio there because it's raw and it's kind of, my gosh, I've talked about these issues so many times, and yet there's something, and I know it's a release, I know it's a healing that's taken place, it's an upgrade. That's what it feels like, a huge upgrade that's taken place. But that was from a child who suffered massive amount of trauma that nobody really acknowledged. Nobody made a big fuss of it. It just, the doctors didn't put a label on, oh, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. It's only as an adult looking, it's kind of like, oh, hold on a minute, that would have been traumatic for a youngster. And so to release that young child from that has just been amazing the last couple of weeks from doing the process. So I know that people are going to get a massive amount from it. So I am going to be uploading that. I don't know if I'm going to be uploading it private or unlisted actually at this rate. But the intention is to be able to help people through that healing process massively. But we are all part of that, because if each of us can benefit from that, which I know that we all will, I think it's just going to be amazing in terms of what we're doing here with Tell Your Story, because obviously what we're trying to do is to help people to tell their story and not to hold it in, because it does come out as cancer in many ways. And she was just confirming that, because I was talking about just experiences within the team, and obviously we're not here to save anybody. People have got their own destinations for whatever we're all here. We're not meant to. But what's been brilliant is the adjustment of the timelines in terms of, I just wanted to understand that when somebody's ill and they're carrying illness in their body, they've got to deal with stuff. But one of the things that I've really felt really strongly was that there was something in childhood trauma that was trapped, and that was confirmed. So it was that thing of belief that the infinity healing does work and it will do what it needs to do for you.